Welcome to Frank and Teresa's Anchor Bar, located inside of Jackson Square, right next to First Ontario Centre here in downtown Hamilton. Site for another episode of the Hamilton Bulldogs Hockey Hour. Derek Wills alongside of Al Craig, and we've got two terrific guests coming up tonight.
No kidding. The newest guy in town, Devan Dubnyk, boy, is he one big netminder. We saw that out on the ice, and as he showed up in person, I'm sure all of our fans in the audience will agree, he's one tall guy. And we got Chouinard, who has been doing a terrific job on the defense corps all season long. He's got the big shot. We'll talk to him about that and find out their thoughts the rest of the way here as the Bulldogs have been struggling, but you never know.
It's been a busy night for those two guys.
Yeah.
Because the Hamilton Bulldogs actually had a community practice tonight at North Wentworth Community Center. So they had to practice from 5:30 to 6:30, quickly undress and shower, and then get down here to Frank and Teresa's Anchor Bar for the show. So we thank them for scurrying down here. And we've got Joel Chouinard coming up in our second segment, and then Devan Dubnyk in our third. But first up, we're going to take a look back at the week that was for the Hamilton Bulldogs. 3 games in 3 days, all at First Ontario Centre. A rare 3-3, all at home.
Yeah, usually they're on, like the last one, where they're all in the different countries and states and cities and provinces. Did I get it right? Anyway, but this was different. Very important 3-3 at home. And it was a tough sledding.
Yes, and going into last weekend's 3-3 at First Ontario Centre in Hamilton, the Bulldogs had 8 home games and 13 away games remaining on their 76-game regular season schedule. And first up last weekend for Hamilton, a big game against Oklahoma City, because the Barons are one of the many teams the Bulldogs are fighting with for a playoff spot in the Western Conference.
Yeah, and there are a few of them, but, I think you got to take each game as it comes. I know it's cliche, but, just sort of peck away and see what happens. But they had to do it at home.
Yeah, and going into the game, Oklahoma City was 2 points out of the 8th and final playoff position in the Western Conference. Hamilton 7 points out. So another one of these proverbial 4-point games, and the Bulldogs actually had 2 new players in the lineup for Friday's game against the Barons. Defenseman Davis Dubnyk and goaltender Devan Dubnyk, who will join us a little bit later on in the show.
I thought Dubnyk was just terrific, and he's a very interesting guy to watch. A little different style that we'll get into, I'm sure, when he comes up and visits us. Davis Dubnyk, what was it, 323 days?
That's right.
That he had not played a hockey game, and they used him rather sparingly, not sparingly, but the short shifts in this game to make sure he gets back into game condition. And I think it's going to work out.
Yeah, it was his first game this season. He had shoulder surgery back on October 16th. His first AHL game in almost 5 years. For Dubnyk, his first game since being acquired by the Montreal Canadiens from the Nashville Predators on NHL trade deadline day. His first AHL game in more than 4 years. And ironically, it was against the Oklahoma City Barons, Edmonton's AHL affiliate. And Dubnyk actually spent 8 seasons playing in the Oilers organization. They did draft him in the first round, 14th overall, back in the 2004 NHL entry draft.
Yeah, that's what they thought of this young man, and I'm sure he's got a terrific career ahead of him still.
So we were all excited to see Dubnyk and Dubnyk and the rest of the Hamilton Bulldogs take on the Oklahoma City Barons on Friday night, and here are the highlights. Beaulieu shoots, and he scores! Nathan Beaulieu with a wicked wrist shot from the far face-off circle, and he rifles that shot right over the glove of Richard Bachman into the top corner of the Oklahoma City Barons net, and the Hamilton Bulldogs grab a 1-0 lead. Loose puck in front, Arcobello shoots and he scores! The puck popped out in front of the Hamilton Bulldogs net, and Mark Arcobello backhanded it quickly over the glove of Devan Dubnyk. A perfectly placed shot right off the crossbar and in, and the Oklahoma City Barons tie the game at 1. Horak, far side lander, near side, Arcobello shoots and scores. Mark Arcobello scores his second goal of this hockey game, one-timing a shot by Devan Dubnyk on the short side, and a power play goal gives the Oklahoma City Barons a 2-1 lead. And that was the final score at First Ontario Centre on Friday night, and I didn't think of this on Friday, I just thought of it now. Arcobello, who scored the game-tying and game-winning goals, a former teammate of Dubnyk with the Edmonton Oilers.
That's right. I've been waiting to get Devan up here to talk to him about that fact and how that felt, because I guess both of them really wanted to put one up on the other. Yeah. Those things come around, but I guess Arcobello got the first shot in there.
Well, Dubnyk might have some chance for revenge.
That's right.
When the Hamilton Bulldogs go on that long road trip late in March, early in April, and go to Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, for another game against the Barons. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. Tough loss, though, for the Hamilton Bulldogs. Their 3-game overall and 2-game home winning streak snapped. I thought Drewski played pretty well when you consider the fact that it had been 323 days since his last game. But as you mentioned, Dubnyk, outstanding, stopping 38 of 40 shots. He was named the game's second star, and truth be told, if Mark Arcobello hadn't scored the game-tying and game-winning goals, he would have been the first star.
I think there's no doubt about that. And, for him, and again, we'll broach that subject, for him to be with a new team, there's nuances there with your defensemen you got to get used to. And he was, so we'll find out exactly what that was like for him to get back in the saddle here in Hamilton.
Now, a lot of our fans, especially some of those who are here tonight, are diehard fans who come to every game and every radio show. Sometimes they complain that we don't play enough teams. We see the same teams all the time. Well, a new team came into town on Saturday. First game in 5 seasons between the Hamilton Bulldogs and the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins. And following Friday's loss, the Hamilton Bulldogs went into Saturday's contest 9 points out of a playoff position in the Western Conference. The Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins, on the other hand, held the 8th and final playoff spot over in the Eastern Conference. So an important game for both teams.
Yes, certainly it was. And Wilkes-Barre Scranton, always a good team, always a formidable opponent. And they brought it, but the Dogs held their own. I won't give the result.
Yeah, they did. And another strong start for the Hamilton Bulldogs on Saturday night. And here are the highlights. Batter in a long shot, stopped by Benino. Rebound, St. Pierre to Dumo, who scores! A perfect pass by the captain, Martin St. Pierre, to Gabriel Dumo, who one-times a shot into the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins net. And he gives the Hamilton Bulldogs a 1-0 lead. Mickelson, top of the far circle. Drzanovic shoots and they score. Nicholas Drzanovic with a slap shot from the top of the far face-off circle. It may have been tipped by Andrew Ebbett, who was standing out in front, and a power play goal by the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins squares the score at 1. Here's a shot by Kostopoulos, and he scores. Right off the face-off, Tom Kostopoulos lets one rip right off the crossbar and in, and just 3 seconds into their power play, the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins score their second power play goal of the period, and they take a 2-1 lead. Getting in the way of that shot costs Ellis his stick, and now in the wraparound, Perreault try to jam it in, and they do. They score. Adam Perreault and Denver Manderson both whacking and hacking away at the puck to Robert Myers' right. The Hamilton Bulldogs goaltender is going to argue that this goal should be no good, but it's going to count. Make it 3 unanswered for the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins, who take a 3-1 lead. Dumo with 20 seconds left in the power play. Sneaks towards the net. Centers. Blunden in the redirection, and they score! Mike Blunden got his stick on the puck and tapped it right between the pads of Peter Menino, who got a piece of the puck, but not enough of the puck. The Hamilton Bulldogs score a big power play goal, and they're back to within 1. Kostopoulos steals the puck, slides it ahead, Abbott shoots and scores. Andrew Abbott puts the puck in the empty Hamilton Bulldogs net with a little bit less than 1 minute left in the third period. And the Hamilton Bulldogs were coming on, but the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins scored an insurance goal to grab a 4-2 lead. Yeah, and that was the final score, and another tough-to-swallow loss for the Hamilton Bulldogs. And you and I agreed after the game that if the Hamilton Bulldogs had played with the same type of intensity and desperation that they played with in the third period, in the first 2 periods, the game wouldn't even have been close.
I agree, and for some strange reason, second periods have been a problem, not just with this team, other versions of the Bulldogs over the years. It's not their favorite period for some strange reason. I don't understand. But they were looking terrific there in the third period. They were really bringing it, and but it was a little too late. And we've heard that scenario several times this year. Perhaps just human nature, sitting back. I don't know. I don't know why to do that.
So on Friday and Saturday, the Hamilton Bulldogs played two unfamiliar opponents. An Oklahoma City Barons team that they saw for the first time this season and played twice a season, and a Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins club that they hadn't played in 5 seasons. Well, on Sunday, a more familiar foe was at First Ontario Centre, the Lake Erie Monsters, the 9th meeting of the season between Hamilton and Lake Erie. And truth be told, the Bulldogs have played some of their best hockey games in this 2013-2014 campaign against the Monsters. Going into Sunday's game, they were 5-2-0-1.
Yeah, there have been times in the recent past where Lake Erie's caused Hamilton all kinds of problems, but the Bulldogs, last little while, have done quite well against them. So we were kind of looking forward to salvaging something on the weekend against what's turned out to be a rather bitter foe, a team that had 2 knockdown, drag-out games against the Toronto Marlies with, 340 penalty minutes or something?
343 penalty minutes, 19 fighting majors in that home-and-home series.
What brought that on, I wonder?
Well, probably the same thing that brought on a fight 1 second into Sunday's game.
That's true.
Now, these two teams definitely have a heated rivalry. Both were coming off losses on Saturday. It was a big game for both the Bulldogs and for the Monsters because Hamilton was 11 points out of the 8th and final playoff position in the Western Conference. Lake Erie 12 points going into Sunday's game. It was the third game in 3 days for both teams. Now, the Bulldogs were playing their third game in 3 days at home, while the Monsters were playing their third game in 3 days in 3 different cities, Cleveland, Toronto, and Hamilton, and 2 different countries. The United States on Friday, Canada on Saturday and Sunday. Now, the big story that started to develop during pregame warm-ups on Sunday was the absence of Hamilton Bulldogs captain Martin St. Pierre. We did some digging. We later found out he was a healthy scratch. I later found out it was the first time in his 10-year career he's been a healthy scratch, so that caught us all off guard.
And not to mention him, I assume.
Yeah, I think that's safe to say. But another strong start for the Hamilton Bulldogs on Sunday, and that's something that we didn't say any of last season. I remember at one point in time they gave up the first goal in 15 straight games.
That's
but
right.
This season it's becoming a trend. The Hamilton Bulldogs have been ready to play right from the get-go. That was the case again on Sunday, and here are the highlights. Eisenhower all over him on the forecheck, knocks it loose for Andrew Ghetto in the far corner. He dropped. Thomas shoots and scores! Great work down low by Maxime Eisenhower, who punched the puck into the far corner to Sven Andrighetto, and with eyes in the back of his head, he somehow spotted Christian Thomas, who rifled a shot right over the right shoulder of Calvin Pickard into the top of the Lake Erie Monsters net. What a shot that was, and it gives the Hamilton Bulldogs a 1-0 lead. Stollery slides it ahead to Van der Gulik, who steps it and shoots and scores. David Van der Gulik with a perfectly placed snapshot right over the right shoulder of Devan Dubnyk into the top corner of the Hamilton Bulldogs net. And the Lake Erie Monsters score a power play goal to tie this game at 1. Ellis all over him, trying to get it loose. Malone, though, plays it behind the net to Agostino, who centers. Van der Gulik shoots and scores! David Van der Gulik one-times the puck under Devan Dubnyk. And he scores his second goal of the second period with 48.2 seconds remaining in the middle stanza. And the Lake Erie Monsters have taken a 2-1 lead. Stollery gives it back to Van der Gulik. He centers. Dubnyk shoots and scores! Perfect passing by the Lake Erie Monsters seemed to mesmerize the Hamilton Bulldogs. And Matt Hunwick finishes the play with a wrist shot from the far face-off circle, sailing a shot over the right shoulder of Devan Dubnyk right into the top corner of the Hamilton Bulldogs net. Make it 3 unanswered goals by the visiting team. They now lead the home side 3-1. Now a giveaway by Chouinard. Schumacher steps in to the backhand, scores! Michael Schumacher stole the puck, walked to the net, faked forehand, went backhand, and just popped the puck right between the legs of Devan Dubnyk. Make it 4 unanswered goals for the Lake Erie Monsters, who now lead the Hamilton Bulldogs 4-1. It certainly wasn't a 4-1 hockey game by no means, but at the end of the day, that's all that matters. The final score, the Lake Erie Monsters defeat the Hamilton Bulldogs 4-1. And obviously a huge blow for the Hamilton Bulldogs as they try to get into a Calder Cup playoff position. And after the Oklahoma City Barons scored the game-winning goal on the power play on Friday, and then the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins scored the game-tying goal and then the go-ahead goal on the power play on Saturday, the Lake Erie Monsters scored the game-tying goal and one of their insurance goals on the power play on Sunday. And the Hamilton Bulldogs power play is starting to come around a little bit, but the penalty kill has been a problem of late.
Just can't seem to get those two aspects of special teams together, and also a couple of guys coming up big. Arcabello from OKC in the first game, and then Vander Gulik, who was just a wonderful hockey player. I know we both enjoy watching him play, except when he's playing against us because he seems to do well, and he had a bang-up game in that one. But what's really frustrating, the teams play at home. What are we, 5 games below 500 right now? We're 2 above on the road. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And and of course, all weekend long we scored the first goal, and it did not result in a single victory.
And the Hamilton Bulldogs had a fantastic record when scoring first this season. And it's still pretty good, but it was great prior to last weekend. Just hard to figure what happened. But like you said, the good news is the Hamilton Bulldogs have played better on the road than they have at home this season, and that's good news because they only have 5 home games remaining, and they've got 13 on the road.
Yes.
So maybe this team can get on a roll. They've got 3-3 on the road this weekend. If you win the first one, it tends to snowball a little bit. And then they've got that long road trip coming up late in March, early in April. And again, if you get off to a good start on the road trip, you can build some confidence, you can build some momentum, and maybe you can scratch and claw your way back into the playoff picture.
I agree. You have to. You can't give up now. You've invested too much all season long. It's been a chore. But if they can get going again, maybe it'll be a happy ending.
Now, more desperate times last season. I remember there was about 10 games to go, and the Hamilton Bulldogs were like 18 points out of a playoff spot. They said, hey, there's still 20 points on the table. Mathematically, it can be done. We all knew that wasn't true. Well, mathematically it was. Realistically, it wasn't. But this year, just take a look at what's left. 18 games remain, which means there's 36 points on the table, and the Hamilton Bulldogs are 11 points out of a playoff spot. They were 11 at the end of Saturday, 11 at the end of Sunday, so they didn't fall any further back. So it can be done. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but it can be done. And, again, they've been better on the road than at home. 5 home games left, 13 away games, and I think that they can certainly get on a roll and climb back into the playoff picture, and they can do that this weekend, or at least start to do that this weekend, because another 3-game in 3-day weekend is coming up for the Hamilton Bulldogs. Won't be as easy as last weekend was as far as travel is concerned. Didn't have to go anywhere. 3 home games. Coming up, they've got games in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. The Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins on the schedule Friday. And that's about a 6-hour bus ride to get there. And then they play in Syracuse, New York against the Crunch on Saturday. That's about a 3-hour bus ride. And then they play in Toronto against the Marlies on Sunday. That's going to be about a 4.5-hour bus ride. Welcome back to the American Hockey League, by the way, Devan, because, of course, in the National Hockey League, you're chartering everywhere and on these luxurious planes. In the American Hockey League, we've got a pretty nice bus. We've got a DVD player on there. We've got some plugs for your iPad and your iPhone.
Usually works.
And we've got some takeout food. So it's going to be a long weekend for the Hamilton Bulldogs, but it'll seem a lot shorter because I think this team's going to really compete this weekend. I think they got a chance to win 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 3. I mean, they've played well enough to win a game against the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins last weekend. They won their only game against the Syracuse Crunch this season, won it going away 4-1, and they've been really good against the Toronto Marlies, especially of late. As a matter of fact, they've won the last 4 games at Ricoh Coliseum. So I think it's possible the Dogs could sweep this 3-3 coming up this weekend.
Well, Wilkes-Barre Scranton means revenge. Syracuse, you never know what to expect in that bandbox. And the Marlies...
Chaos.
Huh?
Chaos.
Chaos. There you go. And the Marlies, well, enough said about them.
Yeah. Anyways, we'll talk more about the 3-3 and those 3 opponents coming up a little bit later on. But coming up next, we're going to be joined by Hamilton Bulldogs defenseman Joel Chouinard. We've got some questions for Joel. Do you have a question for Joel? If you do, tweet it to us at BulldogsAHL with the hashtag HBHH, and we'll ask him for you when we return to the Anchor Bar to continue the Hamilton Bulldogs Hockey Hour on AM 900 CHML and the all-new 900CHML.com. This is what the Hamilton Bulldogs will be this weekend when they play 3 games in 3 days in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, Syracuse, New York, and Toronto, Ontario, under pressure by Queen.
True.
And Vanilla Ice stole that riff and did Ice Ice Baby. Did you know that, Al?
No, I did not. I've heard of them, though.
I thought with you having a Vanilla Ice poster in your bedroom that you would know that kind of... Oh, wait, that's Justin Dickey. Sorry, didn't mean to confuse the two of you. Welcome back to Frank and Teresa's Anchor Bar, located inside of Jackson Square, right next to First Ontario Centre in downtown Hamilton, home of the Hamilton Bulldogs Hockey Hour. I'm Derek Wills, alongside of Al Craig. We have finished stuffing chicken wings into our mouths, but I see many of our fans are stuffing chicken wings and pizza into their mouths. Always a good time here at the Anchor Bar, and very pleased to be joined by Hamilton Bulldogs defenseman Joel Chouinard. Did you have dinner yet?
No, I didn't. I actually ordered, but it's going to get cold while I'm talking to you guys.
Oh,
so
you can eat it while you're doing
dedication
the
there is.
That is quite a sacrifice that you're making. So you're a 23-year-old native of, you're going to have to pronounce your hometown.
Longueuil.
Yeah, I'm glad you said it instead of me. I actually am half French-Canadian, but words like that I just can't get off my tongue.
Never heard you speak French before.
Bonjour, Joel. There we go. Now, you spent 4 seasons in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, all with the Victoriaville Tigres. Mm-hmm. And statistically, I was taking a look at things today. You went from 3 goals, 6 points in 23 games, to 7 goals, 35 points, to 12 goals, 35 points, to 23 goals, 68 points in 65 games. So you got better and better offensively in every junior season you played in.
Yeah, at first, I was a 16-year-old rookie, so I didn't have much power play time. I came out of midget AAA where I had a lot of ice time, so took me a little while to get acclimated to the league. But at my 17-year-old year, I was playing a lot. I was playing first pairing with Jason Demers, plays for San Jose, and we had a lot of minutes against the best lines on the other team. So. Obviously, like my 18-year-old year, that was after I got drafted. I had kind of a harder year, but then my last year was the year I had to sign my contract with Colorado, and I really did have a good year there. So yeah, I got better every year.
Before the break, I talked a bit about the bus rides the Hamilton Bulldogs will be making this weekend. The longest bus ride we have this season is about 6 hours. You must have had some pretty long bus rides playing in the queue.
Yeah, I remember one, we had to go to Cape Breton, straight up. We actually left on Sunday night, slept through the night on the bus, and got there at like 8 o'clock p.m. the next day. Yeah, it was tough, but we only had to do those like once a year, so it wasn't too bad.
That's once too many a year.
How Don Cherry did it for 19 years, I'll never know. Joel, what's more eye-opening, or what was a bigger step, to go from minor hockey to junior, or from junior to professional? Because obviously big step-ups in each case, but your nerves, the whole picture.
I think I would have to say go from junior to pro, because when you go from minor hockey to junior, you like the biggest age difference you can get is like 4 or 5 years. But when you get in pro, like you're at 20 years old, or even some guys in the NHL 18, and some guys can, like Teemu Selanne, are 43, so it could be your dad. So no, it's definitely harder, just because the guys are bigger, faster, and everyone on the ice can skate and and handle themselves pretty good. So it's definitely a bigger step, especially for a defenseman. I think, because especially in the American Hockey League, because a lot of forechecking, guys, chip the puck and try to hit you through the glass. So it was a big adjustment, because junior hockey is more about points and power play and everything. So yeah, it was a bigger adjustment to go from junior to pro.
So you produced a lot of points in junior, and then you turned professional in 2010-2011 with the Hamilton Bulldogs' rival, the Lake Erie Monsters, and you scored 3 goals in your first 5 games. 7 in your first 18, and then 8 goals, 17 points in 35 games in your rookie season. Did it feel easy that first season, at least offensively?
Honestly, everything I shot was going in, or somebody else was like tipping it in or something. I wasn't playing, differently than I did, in juniors or like the past few years. I just, shot everything, and obviously getting some power play time helps to get points. But there's some seasons like that where you just shoot the puck and it goes in, like good screens, and obviously it has a lot to do with confidence. You have to have confidence to shoot the puck. But yeah, I just gotta get back to those roots.
Obviously, you had to take the good with the bad, though, early in your career, because not only was the puck going in or somebody tipping it, you had some injury woes early on.
Yeah, I had it pretty tough my first year. I broke my finger in a practice, so I missed the first 2 weeks of the season, and then I came back, played five and a half games, and actually a former Bulldogs, forget his name, big guy. Anyway, he hit me in Cleveland, and I broke my collarbone. Was out for another 2.5 months. So I only played half the season that year. So that was pretty tough, because your rookie season is where you gain experience, and the tough traveling of the AHL, the grinding, and I kind of missed out on half of that. So unfortunate.
Yeah. Well, you've been healthy this season, so that's been a blessing.
Yep.
All right, so we've asked enough questions for now. We've got someone who's going to step up to the microphone here at Frank and Teresa's Anchor Bar, and he's going to ask you a question. So if you can step up to the mic, tell us what your name is and where you're from, and then go ahead and ask Joel Chouinard your question.
My name is Zach Eber, and I'm from Caledonia. When did you start playing hockey?
I started playing hockey when I was 5. So I don't know. How old are you? 8. Yeah. So are you playing hockey?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I started around 5. Played mites back home, and I actually started playing. Doing not figure skating, but like the skating lessons. My first year, and then the year after that, I started actually playing on a team.
Zach, who's your favorite player?
Lupo?
No, you're supposed to say Joel Chouinard. Say it. Come on. Say it. Thanks, Zach. Great question. And if anybody else here has a question, we're going to have Joel up here for a few more minutes. So step up to the mic, and we'd be glad to have you on the show. Now, this is your 4th professional season. You seem to be an older guy than you are. Like I said off the top, you're only 23 years old. Do you feel like you've still got some developing to do?
Oh, absolutely. And I think I've grown a lot this year working with the coaches, doing a lot of video and just learning the game. It's actually quite simple, but it's just a matter of executing it, right? So, no, I still have a lot to learn, and but I also think that I can, teach some younger guys that come in, because I'm like kind of in the middle, right? The younger guys come in at 20. I have that experience. I'm not, it hasn't been too long since I was in their shoes. So, but yeah, I keep doing video, every week with the coaches, and try to improve. I mean, I'm sure even Teemu Selanne does video, even if he's 43 years old. So
might not want to, but I'm sure the coaches make them.
Yeah, exactly.
Joel, we've been watching you very closely this year, and trying to pinpoint what kind of defenseman you are, whether it's stay at home or a guy that likes to go out on offense, because you've proven you got a terrific shot, and sometimes we wonder whether you take it enough. Has that been mentioned to you, or do you just consider yourself a stay-at-home guy that when he gets his opportunities will go for it?
I wouldn't consider myself a stay-at-home defenseman. I would say more a puck-moving defenseman.
Okay.
So I can play both sides of the ice, and when I get an opportunity to go offense, I can create some things, but I got to take care of my own end first, and play PK, and I take a lot of pride in blocking shots and playing well defensively. So I think I could shoot the puck more. I do have a good shot, so I think I would benefit from shooting more of the pucks.
You got my permission. You just go ahead and do it.
I'm going to tell the coaches you said that. Now, like you said earlier, sometimes defensemen take a little longer to develop. We've seen that for years and years. Do you think that once you've got the defensive side of the game down pat, that offensive side might then come back?
Oh, absolutely. Like when we do video, we mostly look at, the positioning and, the defensive aspects of the game.
You guys should probably start wrapping up.
And, like the defensive part just comes naturally. It's all instinct, right? So, so once that part of the game is settled and you feel comfortable and, you really play well defensively, well, you can take more chances offensively and know that you're going to be in a good position to get back to play your position, because your first position is to keep the puck out of your net. So your first goal, is to. So yeah, I think I've had a tough few seasons in Cleveland, and this year I really came along, and I think I could still improve that part of my game for sure.
Last question. 18 games to go, 11 points out of a playoff spot. What do the Dogs have to do to get back in the race?
Honestly, it's take one game at a time, because we've been streaky this year, and we've won 7 in a row before, 6 in a row.
6 in a row, yeah.
And if we start getting hot, it's the best time of the year to get hot, because you're going right into playoffs. So it's just we gotta be consistent. But yeah, I think the key is going to be consistent through every game and every period, because that's been what's killing us this year. Mainly our second periods have been killing us. So it's being consistent and take one game at a time. Well,
I'll tell you what, you've been one of the most consistent players in the hockey club this year. I think your plus-minus rating reflects that. Great job, and keep it going. Keep belief in that dressing room that you guys can get in, because back in 2007, the Hamilton Bulldogs got hot right around this time, ended up winning the Calder Cup. But thanks for joining us tonight, and good luck this weekend playing 3-3.
Thank you.
There's Hamilton Bulldogs defenseman Joel Chouinard, kind enough to join us here at the Hamilton Bulldogs Hockey Hour, live from Frank and Teresa's Anchor Bar inside of Jackson Square, right next to First Ontario Centre. Coming up next, one of the guys he defends in the defensive zone, Devan Dubnyk. If you have a question for Devan, you can tweet it to us at Bulldogs AHL with the hashtag HBHH. We'll ask him for you on the air when we come back to Anchor Bar to continue the Hamilton Bulldogs Hockey Hour on AM 900 CHML and the all-new 900CHML.com.
The telephone is ringing. You got me on the run.
Good tunes as we return to Frank and Teresa's Anchor Bar, located inside of Jackson Square, right next to First Ontario Centre in downtown Hamilton. And up on the televisions here, they've got the Edmonton Oilers versus Minnesota Wild game. And I'm thinking that Edmonton probably should have held on to Devan Dubnyk because they're down 3-0 with 3 minutes to go in the first period. And maybe the Oilers should have held on to the 27-year-old native of Regina, Saskatchewan, who they picked in the first round, 14th overall in the 2004 National Hockey League entry draft. Devan, welcome to the show. Talk about your experience of growing up as a hockey player, wanting to play in the National Hockey League, and then getting picked in the first round.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was exciting. I remember more about it, I guess, thinking back on it than when I was actually going through it. It happens pretty fast. I just turned 18, and I had an idea of approximately where I was going to go. There was a chance I was going to go in the first round, but you never really know as a goalie. Things can change pretty quick. Obviously, there's only certain teams looking for a goalie, so it was fun. I had my family there, and it was a pretty good experience. But it all happened pretty fast at the time, and they always tell the kids that the work starts after you get drafted, and you find out as you go that that's certainly the case.
I grew up as a huge Edmonton Oilers fan. What was it like playing in the City of Champions, being inside of that Edmonton Oilers dressing room, having those legends around once in a while? What was that experience like?
It was great. We had some tough years there, obviously, with the way we finished and we started rebuilding. But I actually have a lot of family in Edmonton and spent a lot of my years growing up in Calgary as well. So it was nice to be close to home to get a chance to play there and to be with an organization for as long as I was, it was disappointing to leave, but you leave a lot of friends and a lot of memories, but certainly times I'll never forget there, and it was a pretty cool place to play. Difficult at times, obviously, but fun, and I certainly miss those guys.
Let's backtrack a little bit. You came through a great program in the Western Hockey League, Kamloops, and international hockey. You're all over the place. It's unbelievable. Let me run this down. You were a gold medalist 2006. You were behind Justin Pogge, though, in Vancouver. And then you were a backup also at 2010 Worlds, 2011, 2012. Am I correct there?
Oh, keep going.
Keep going. No, I got one more. I got
2013 too.
Before
four Worlds.
Oh, okay. So.
You got to update Wikipedia.
Yeah. How did you feel about that? Not Wikipedia, but
and the Spengler Cup.
Well, he won that.
That's
right.
Yeah.
And Spengler. So it was four World Championships. Yeah, and the Spengler Cup. It's always a lot of fun representing your country. Obviously, I learned that from I had starting from Team Alberta. I played in the Canada Winter Games and I went to 2 under-18 World Championships with Canada, and then was lucky enough to play World Juniors in Vancouver, which was a great experience, and I've been fortunate enough to be able to pull on the Canadian jersey many times, and it's always an honor, and they're always first class. So that's unfortunately I've been in a situation for the last few years where we weren't in playoffs and was heading over to World Championships. But it's an easy yes every time I get asked to go over there.
That's good.
Going over for Team Canada with the way they treat you and the way how good they've been to me.
Good for you.
Well, the Hamilton Bulldogs Hockey Hour is an interactive radio show, and we've got a great crowd here at Frank and Teresa's Anchor Bar, and a young man up here to ask a question to Devan. So tell us your name, where you're from, and then go ahead and ask your question.
My name's Braden. I'm from here in Hamilton. Why did you become a goalie?
You got to be crazy to be a goalie.
Why did I become a goalie? That's a good question, actually. I can't actually remember the real reason. To be honest, I think I had a buddy that was a goalie when I was about 8 years old, and I thought it was cool. So my dad was a goalie as well. He played junior, and when I first told him my plans of being a goaltender, he wasn't overly excited about it, and didn't want me to do it. But I worked on him for a summer, and it worked out.
It certainly did. Mm-hmm. All right, we've got another question from the crowd here at Frank and Teresa's Anchor Bar. Name,
3
where
minutes.
you're from, question.
My name's Bob. I'm also from Hamilton here. I just wanted to know what's with the water spraying when you get to the net before the game starts.
Oh, that's just it's a strange goalie thing. It's just when you play games and you just get into strange habits and routines and little things that make you feel comfortable, and that's just something I picked up on the way. To be honest, there's I could break down about probably 40 things that happen before the game that are a little more subtle than that I'm well aware of. So they're just things you pick up as you go. They're just routines that make you feel comfortable.
All right, we got Justin Dickey here. He's got a question from Twitter. Go ahead, Justin.
Quick one for you, Devan. Daryl
2
on
minutes.
Twitter just wants to know, did you play with Carey Price before?
Have I played with Pricer? No, I know him decently well though. I've done a lot of goalie camps with him, and he was actually, we were same tryouts, the World Junior team that I played on. He was a year younger than me, so he was at the Christmas camp there. And I see him once in a while in the past in Calgary. So I haven't played on a team with him, but I know him a little bit.
Well,
Got to wrap up, guys.
You're going to be back on the bus for the first time in a long time this weekend. A 3-3, which is something you don't have in the National Hockey League, but do in the American Hockey League. Thankfully, they've gotten rid of the 4 and 5s. But are you looking forward to spending some time with your new teammates this weekend, or are you going to be dreading these bus rides?
You know what? I don't know. I'm looking forward to spending some time with the guys for sure, but I'm a little nervous about the bus. I've turned soft over the last 5 years, so
I bet.
The charter planes are certainly a nice treat. So I'll get used to it pretty quick. It's more my 6'5" frame that becomes a problem on the buses than anything. It's not the long rides, but I enjoy playing cards, so I'll try to find myself a spot with the guys and kill off a few hours.
Well, Devan, I wasn't sure what kind of attitude you would come down with, but you've been fantastic on the ice and off the ice, dealing with us and our fans and the media. Kudos to you for that. I know it has been a difficult season for you. You've looked good in the Hamilton Bulldogs net as well. You're going to help this team win some games moving forward. Thanks for joining us tonight, and good luck this weekend.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
There is Hamilton Bulldogs goaltender Devan Dubnyk. He and the guys getting ready for 3-3 on the road this weekend. They will be in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania to take on the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins at Mohegan Sun Arena at Casey Plaza Friday at 7 p.m. And then off to Syracuse to combat the Crunch at Onondaga County War Memorial Dodon Center Saturday at 7. And then off to Toronto, round 12, the final round of the AHL's 2013-2014 Battle of Ontario versus the Toronto Marlies Sunday at 3 p.m. Of course, you can listen to all 3 games live here on AM 900 CHML and 900CHML.com or watch on AHLlive.com. Hamilton Bulldogs next home game Wednesday, March 19th. It is Olympic recognition night. Megan Augusta, Laura Fortina will be there to drop the puck and sign some autographs. Be sure to come on out for that. Our next Hamilton Bulldogs Hockey Hour next Tuesday. The final episode of the season right here at Frank and Teresa's Anchor Bar inside of Jackson Square next to First Ontario Centre in downtown Hamilton. Gonna have to wrap this thing up. Thanks to our guests, 2 great guests tonight, Joel Chouinard and Devan Dubnyk, and to our communications coordinator, Justin Dickey, and digital production coordinator, Steve Tuner, and to Luke Vermeer back at AM 900 CHML in Hamilton. Thanks to the staff here at Frank and Teresa's Anchor Bar, and to our fans for coming out. Until next time, good night, everybody.